behind the school, behind the high school.
Yep,
And behind the golf course, these trails.
yep.
And we'd go up to Stockholm and use their trails.
There's that too.
And a couple trips, I think, around Kathy Olmsted's farms up there. Last few years, we just kind of stuck to the snowshoes.
Yep, yep, nope.
Sometimes it'd be a Aroostook Wildlife Refuge where they have nice.
Yeah, the Westgate.
APA has like, for American.
You go to the Westgate or Eastgate?
Both.
Kind of a similar.
Yeah.
Do we,
Yeah, we snowshoe in the Westgate usually.
I was gonna say,
Ski on
you want
Eastgate.
me to bump the seats
It's
at-
all well groomed.
Yep.
So maybe it wasn't them that sold their house.
But we'll snowshoe at the
Do you want
The
me to
hospital,
bump seats at, up
they've
that
added
up to A
to
so they can?
the trails quite a bit.
Yeah, I've been
Pop off.
kind of eyeing
Quickly.
Well, maybe.
Dr. Michaud's
But I mean, we'll have
Pat,
to
Pat,
do
okay.
that.
And then
Dr.
we'll
Michaud
go up to
and,
B. Okay.
Walton. Scott Walton.
To meet the new CEO.
It's kind of their pet project.
Yeah.
Is anybody else from Harriman coming?
No, just me.
Just you.
Just me, yeah.
you're wearing a lot of hats tonight.
I am wearing,
So it might
yep.
just be like a board meeting or something.
Yep, there I can.
They haven't updated their website in like 2 or 3 years either. So it might be, we want looking at it.
I wonder if that is gonna pick up and get feedback from your,
It shouldn't if
Oh, that's
she
new.
brings it all the way down. Yeah.
no, from
TV?
her
That
microphone.
location?
But see,
He's
mine
on.
should be off because it's supposed to pick up
New to me.
the sound in here.
It did.
You know what I mean? On
Well,
this, it's supposed to pick this up through the computer.
Do you have your mic muted on?
Yep.
I'm very confused as to where it's picking. Is it just that it's giving that? Is that being broadcasted right now?
That's Spectrum. That's the Spectrum thing. It's not recorded.
Oh, you're wondering which
because
mic's
I
picking
just
it up,
hit
right,
the
yeah,
mic.
right, so,
When I was over there at the door, that's when I hit for YouTube. But YouTube is the one that records.
okay.
And
Spectrum,
broadcasts.
yeah.
Okay.
Spectrum is not.
I got
Just the, like, what's going through that.
Okay.
And then the computer is the one on Zoom.
Okay.
Hey, people on Zoom, can you hear? People that are on Zoom, can you hear okay?
The housing symposium, approach 2 banks so far, the third.
Yep, yep, no, that's the
Is it not here?
22nd? Yeah, yep. I was planning, I had been planning to
Well, there was somebody there that
attend.
wanted to be admitted.
Yep, I got
Thought there were two.
everybody admitted that
Oh.
was there.
I don't have anything, so, yes, I would like to go.
Suzanne, can you hear me?
Yeah. I want you to do a little research, see what you can find
Mm-hmm, certainly.
on the national level.
Yep. I will do my best, David.
I wonder if they could hear me, but they'd be able to hear, I guess, on YouTube. They can't.
Yeah, I wonder if we can hear them. Or is it that microphone that's picking it up?
These are all hooked together, like this
Right.
one and all of these, and they should be going through the system for Zoom.
Okay.
oh, are we live?
I can check to
I
see
am.
if we can be.
Yeah. Okay.
And then all of these, and they should.
Yeah, see, we're on YouTube.
We're all set.
Okay. All right, the time is 6:01. Call the meeting to order. We have a quorum and any disclosures of conflicts of interest. I need to provide a disclosure. I am the project manager for the Micmac Farm Fish Hatchery project in our packet tonight. Any other conflicts of interest? All right, moving on. Approval of minutes, review and approval of minutes from January 18th, 2024 Planning Board.
I move we approve the minutes.
I second,
We have a motion by Frank and a seconded by JR.
please. Yep.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Penny.
take a roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
JR?
Yes.
Mr. Corvo?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion passes. City Council liaison updates. Seeing that Jody hasn't provided any notes or anything? Okay. We will move on. New business. We have Kat Ingraham here to walk us through the House Symposium dated, that's scheduled for February 22nd. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. It's nice to see you again. So I have been speaking with David Corvo about putting together a housing symposium for the 22nd, and would first off like to invite you all to come and participate, and perhaps lend your hand as either note takers or facilitators, depending on the turnout. I provided an executive summary and some ideas for how to tackle some of the housing issues in the Caribou area to Penny, and I hope she shared that with you with plenty of time.
It's in the packet.
Okay.
Plenty of time is very, very.
Plenty.
Sorry. Well, I write too much in everything I do, so, you know, I apologize for that. But Dave and I have had a couple of meetings and have talked about, you know, some of the specific topics that relate to housing challenges in the area, and some ways to hopefully bring some stakeholders together to talk about kind of like the who, what, when, where, and how to bring more housing to Caribou. So I was envisioning this meeting as participatory and opening it up for community discussion about some of the available incentives that are happening right now to help support local housing, including, you know, affordable housing tips, any updates on how Northern Maine Development Company is implementing that LD 2003 law for the city, changes to zoning or changes to planning, basically things that can help streamline housing through. And then asking folks, you know, who are some of the partners in the area who could come together to make housing happen, thinking of, you know, realtors, developers, who potential users might be, and then what are some partnerships that maybe could come after this meeting. So this would just be the first opportunity for folks to kind of come together and talk about that, and hopefully carry some things forward, since we only have a couple hours, so we're only going to be able to get so much done there that night. And then some other ideas about, you know, identifying potential parcels for housing development, thinking about what kinds of housing might work in certain areas in the city. You know, there's also opportunities to kind of dig a little bit deeper into like what short-term rentals could look like here. I know that's a conversation that's happening in a lot of other communities, as well as like accessory dwelling units, just some of those other housing types and styles, multifamilies, et cetera, and pocket neighborhoods or subdivisions that are, you know, to a different code than maybe what the city would require for private streets. So there's a lot of different housing topics and a lot to try to cover in just a couple of hours. So I'm curious, you know, what would be helpful as a planning board for you to learn from the folks who come to this meeting? And are there any other things that you would like to try to get out of it? Just to make it most beneficial for you to use the information from the community as well.
Sorry, I guess identifying barriers that are in the current land use, maybe, and how we can facilitate that? Or is there a perceived barrier?
From a development standpoint?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how the planning board can facilitate and help with those ordinances to, you know, make it easier, I guess.
Related, not so much a topic that I'd like to see covered. Are we sending this out like by invitation? Is this a word of mouth? Is this, how are we publicizing this?
Well, we had the postcards made,
Right.
you know, to invite people.
Yeah.
I believe we have a Facebook. I mean, I'm not Facebook guy, but
Nope.
I believe that we do have a Facebook event
Okay.
for this.
You do.
Yeah, we do,
Okay.
okay, good.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
I've
thank
seen it,
you.
I've seen it on
Because
Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know, but it was my understanding it would. And, you know, every time we're talking about things, we're talking about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We've also sort of tried to brainstorm who some of the people that we would like to be at the meeting are, and either invite them personally or make sure they get a postcard in their hand.
Amanda, I think there are two zoning issues that Caribou's confronted with, and a suggestion is our residential 1 zone to be made residential 2, and our commercial 2 zone to be made multi-use, which would open up the possibility of
Yeah.
development in so many cases, and I think that the R1 to an R2 fits the 2003 statute.
So the minimum, so let's say, I just have a question. So let's say our R1 minimum lot size is 0.1 acres, 0.15,
It's around there, right?
right? 9,000 whatever feet.
Yeah.
And then all of the R2s, the minimum is 0.5. So theoretically, what you're saying is all of the current R2s could be split in half
For multi-use.
well, I'm just saying that.
And the R1, the current R1 to,
Right, so you could take all of those lots, assuming that you could meet the setbacks, split them in half, and
Yeah.
create another lot.
yeah. And the 2003
Right.
law allows multiple dwellings on each lot.
Right, and that's the lot
So that-
coverage?
Yeah, so that would open up, you know, other than what is 30% coverage, that opens up the whole community, or our urban area, for development if the property owner so chose. It would alleviate much of the restrictions that are in place now as far as, you know, 1 primary dwelling per
Right.
lot. I mean, that's all gonna go away.
Right.
So we won't be able to enforce that in the future, being that the state's saying everybody can have multiple units
Yeah.
on a lot, and you still get your setbacks to deal with and the lot percentage.
And then taking the C2 to a mixed use, is that kind of similar to the proposed mixed use that we have?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I can see
Okay.
South Main Street, I want to say
Yeah.
Bennett Drive, Sweden Street.
Yeah.
So much of our main arterials in and out of town
Yeah.
could use mixed use.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of residential and commercial or retail type activities, services, they're not going to be butting heads. They should be able to live next door to each other.
Penny, do you know how that would affect the TIF district, making some of that?
If it's in a TIF district, it's in the TIF district for 30 years, so the use doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like, for example, when we value the TIF districts at the end of the year, one of the things that's the most challenging to work on is that we have a lot of residential in the TIF district, so they actually change with ownership because you're removing homestead exemptions, veteran exemptions, adding them. So that changes the valuation, or if those exemptions go up or down. So if we have a different certified ratio, then those change also. So, I mean, I do a VLOOKUP so it automatically pulls over, but when I have to make an explanation about changes in the TIF district, a lot of it has to do with exemptions because we have so much residential property in the TIF district.
Already in the
So it
TIF
doesn't matter. So
Okay.
even though that's been like a targeted growth area
Yeah.
and it's, you know, part of the downtown and downtown TIF, the downtown TIF and the downtown TIF expansion, it doesn't matter from the TIF district
Okay.
standpoint.
On that same line of question, if we were to come up with a housing TIF, can you have overlap?
No.
You cannot have 2 TIFs?
No, but you could take some out, like you could say, we're gonna take, you could amend your district. We actually looked at that for something else, like 3 years ago. But you could take some out to create and put them into a new one, a
Okay.
new district, yeah. But then, I mean, you have to, I mean, it just takes money. You know, you have to have, you know, someone that does all that work, and then you would amend that, so then the original assessed value has to reflect now what the original assessed value was if you would have created that TIF district with those properties out originally. So,
Gee.
yeah. But, you know, it just takes time, staffing, money.
I'd be interested to get, I think Jay provided us a sample.
Mm-hmm,
I'd be interested to get his take on what Steve had suggested.
mm-hmm.
As far as
Yep,
planning.
we can ask him that.
Do you know if he's going, is Mr. Cam invited to the symposium?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay.
But I can double check.
And isn't our housing shortage mostly labor housing, entry-level housing? I think in Caribou, if someone is planning to construct a new home, you know, north of $300,000, that's not an issue. I mean, it seems like the contractors are busy a couple of years out building upper-scale homes, but I think what I keep hearing, our shortage are people that are working 2 or 3 jobs and just can't find a place to call home.
Right, workforce housing or affordable
Yeah,
housing.
Yeah.
That's my understanding, but
Do we have metrics on that? Have we had a study done?
No, but
Oh,
if
interesting.
Karen was on this call, she would tell you about, there's a grant available right now, and she sent it to me like 3 times, like, to kind of like nudge, you know, towards it. That there is funding available to do
Yeah.
like housing studies.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and I don't, Steve, do you know, has there ever been one done in Caribou? Was
Not
there
that
one?
not that I
Yeah.
can remember.
I think we had that conversation the first time.
Yeah.
That it was being like, you know,
Mr. Corvo, can you take that to the housing committee?
I can.
Yeah, having a study done?
It depends on the time lag. If it's gonna take 6 months to a year, that's gonna slow us down.
Oh, no, not anything in between. I just think
Right.
for
Going
developers
forward,
or whatever, so they can target
yeah.
what the major need is.
Can.
And
I mean,
one
housing's a
of-
problem, but what
Yeah.
type of housing?
yeah, one of Karen's points to this was, I mean, it also helps with the, like the comprehensive
Yes.
plan too. Like you have a better fleshed out section there
Yeah.
if you,
Mm-hmm,
you know, if you had that.
okay. I don't have any more questions.
okay. I mean, certainly,
else?
Thank you.
just going to add, we can certainly ask people who come to the symposium some of those questions. It wouldn't be as comprehensive as a study, but just
Yeah.
get a quick read of the room, you know.
Yeah, any feedback is good feedback.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
So Kat, do you need any volunteers for things, like people to commit to help with things before you leave?
Anyone who is available to take notes is always greatly appreciated. Depending upon the size of the audience that night, I'm gonna set it up into like one big square.
Mhm.
And then if there's a lot of people that show up, I was gonna do some breakout sessions. If it's a more manageable number, I can facilitate and take notes, but just hard to know ahead of time how to plan that out. But if you're willing to do it, I would appreciate that.
Would it benefit us to record it?
It might, yeah. Yeah. We could set that up. As long as people are comfortable being recorded. I know, like, we're all used to it, but
Right.
not everyone is. Yeah, if anything else comes up or you have other questions or thoughts or ideas, just feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Are we bumping around here?
I think we're bumping around. I'm wondering if we're going to move on to item C so we can bring the Zoom people on. I don't know if, they can't hear us, so I think Penny's probably trying to work her magic with the microphones.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
I
Thank
think it
you.
would start picking up that, and there would be a
And not her
feedback. Right, they would only be able to hear her.
Have we had any success with finding another member? Do you know?
I think we have two applicants in our
Right,
packet
two.
for review tonight.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah?
I didn't have a chance to review the packet.
Come on, what have you been doing today?
I went shoveling roof with my camp.
You did.
I did.
It was a nice day for it,
I
right?
thought it was nice.
Yeah?
People on Zoom,
Should-
can you hear us now?
We can hear you.
Oh,
Hey.
good. See, there you go, that's good. We can hear you too.
All right, we're already starting off well tonight.
We are. All right, everybody, item on page 19, we have a site design review package for Nishan Van Buren Road Community Solar Garden. And on Zoom, we have Ralph. Ralph, are you going to be speaking to the project?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Welcome.
Good evening.
So we've received a site design review package. This is going to be on 1212 Van Buren Road in Caribou. It is an R3 zone. Public hearing. Anything else, Penny, that you want to add?
No, I can talk about the project. You have this is the packet that's in there.
Yes.
And if there's anything you want me to bring on the screen, I can do that too, because I have that,
Okay.
is on the P drive too. Ralph, did you want to share your screen or anything?
No.
Okay.
So, my name's Ralph Benedizzi with Novel Energy Solutions. I'd like to thank everyone for seeing us this evening. So we had submitted the application, you can see, with 16 different documents that you should receive, have received, pertaining to this application. What I'd like to do is, just so you know, I'll give you a little background about the company. We were founded in 2012 in Minnesota. The owner of the company is a third-generation cattle farmer. He worked in renewable energies in New York City and decided to bring it back because he knew how difficult it was for farmers with electric bills. And as you know, with farming in general in the United States, it's very tough for farmers to stay in business. So he started Novel Energy Solutions and has grown it to the point where we're doing renewable energy now in 3 states and very successfully and cleanly. Just a little background, I myself, I've spent 20 years as a volunteer on my Planning Board of Adjustment in my municipality. My colleague Suzanne Rose was also worked for the municipality handling permitting through the zoning office. So we have a lot of input into the applications being, from the other side of the fence, knowing what municipalities are looking for, what is really best for a community. So when we come before planning boards, we make sure we put our best foot forward, and everything we submit and our plans and everything are what, me as a board member, what I would be looking for out of an applicant in my municipality. So that's just a little background about us. As you can see, again, 16 different items were submitted. We're looking to construct a 2-megawatt solar park. I don't know what else I could really tell you about it, unless you have some specific questions I could answer, getting into it a little more without boring you with a lot of stuff that maybe you don't need.
How are the soils out there?
How are the soils?
Yes.
Let me just find that report.
Power lease agreement.
I think there's a soils report in the packet.
I'm looking at that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We also received approval, that should be part of the application from Maine DOT. That was one that we did get.
Operations Department. I don't see that.
I can look on.
I'm looking for that right now, though.
Okay. Let's see.
It looks like it's mainly open field at the moment?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's generally where we
Yeah.
look to construct. We don't look to take down trees. We try to keep as much as possible for boundaries and privacy. We try to look at a solar field as, we're still farming in a sense, we're just farming energy. After a period of time, most people don't even notice them anymore. In Maine, they're very, for instance, they're very pro-solar to the point where the state DOT have them built on their right-of-ways on jug handles right out to the road, which is a little strange, but they're very out there with that, where we like to construct it in the field and have a lot of trees around it, so it just blends in with the area. I'm looking for, Suzanne, did you find that report?
I did not. I don't think we had a specific soil report.
I think I read it.
I think
So if that's something you'd like on the soil,
Oh, yeah, that was
we
part
can
of it.
certainly get you something.
No, it was for this project.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do we really need to know?
I was just wondering if there was any wetlands.
A lot.
That's what I was more looking at.
That would be,
We have this here with,
There's that note up there, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I don't believe there are wetlands for the project.
so,
I don't believe so.
wetland impacts, like here, the civil impacts quantities that I have up here. Oops. I just did something bad here. This is smaller, I guess. I don't like this computer at all. I can't move anything without like changing pages or something. But anyway, so it doesn't look like it here.
no, I'm looking at our site plan,
Yeah.
C5.01, and it's not showing any wetlands on here.
So Ralph, there's a house on that lot currently?
I'm sorry, what was that, you're breaking up a little bit?
Is there a house on that lot?
There is a house, I believe it's up in the upper front corner.
Yeah, right on Route 1, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a red
project
dash
is
line,
back
that's the
here.
lease line that they're gonna do.
So they're gonna do an access
Yeah.
road
Right
in,
away.
and the project's way up.
And then that dash line is the lease
Yeah.
perimeter.
Yes,
What's on that land currently? Is it cropland?
Just field.
it's just the field right now.
A field that's in agriculture? No.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it a field being farmed?
I think it's tillable, but not tilled now.
I don't honestly know if it's currently being farmed.
To go back to the soils, and the environmental
Like they were
IFT packet
doing-
that was sent in,
Okay,
Some gardening there, maybe.
there is a soil survey.
okay,
It's listed as non-hydric soil.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Environmental.
I knew I read that someplace, but I just can't put my finger on it.
They are with all the information.
If you look on 31, you can kind
Yeah.
of see where the house is compared to that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Mr. Mashad. I'm talking about the property in the Caribou, old 12 Van
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, it's not being, that area is not being farmed right now. It's not tilled up.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
So will the house be demolished as part of the project, or just left?
No, it's just left. We are just leasing a portion of the land for the solar arrays. Everything else is gonna stay the same.
Okay.
One of the things I noticed, it's a 30-foot right-of-way. And for some reason, I'm thinking Caribou's right-of-ways need to be 50 feet. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I'll look.
Okay. Good catch, Steve.
Yeah, we have no problem in doing anything that's required that you want. It's just so you know, these sites, once they're constructed, maybe about once a month, one car will go down there just to check on them. And then in season, we hire local landscape contractors to maintain it. We generally cut them twice a year. So it's not a highly traveled area.
Is is it going to be remained grassy underneath after construction, all grassed?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
It's going to remain all grassed area after construction, after all the panels are in? It's not going to, except,
Yes.
and there's going to be a gravel,
Yes.
is it going to be a gravel drive path between the fence and the array, or is that just going to be grassed?
It's gonna be, we're gonna do gravel all the way down to the array, and then inside of it is gonna be all grass.
Right, but it says there's a 19-foot wide drive path between the fence and the array on the back side. Is that going to remain grassed?
Yeah,
Okay,
it can remain grass if you want it to be, or if you require gravel, we can do that as well. It also depends on sometimes, fire departments want access and be able to drive on something instead of just grass, so it's really whatever you guys prefer, we can do.
I think your bigger concern, what you're trying to say is you don't want a roadway
I was just starting to look at the impervious area.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how much impervious it was adding up to. Is that on here, the impervious area? Half an acre, 0.57?
I believe it's in the site plan, let me see if I can find it.
It says civil impact quantities, it says impervious area 0.57.
Yes.
So, okay, so my question, so that does not appear as though it's going to be gravel back there? Okay,
No, that won't be gravel.
okay.
No, it won't be.
I was just wondering if you're going to
It
run,
doesn't say gravel on the plan unless you required it to be gravel, then we certainly could do that.
No, I was just wondering if you're going to run into a DEP permitting if you hit 1.0, 1 acre on the impervious area. Now, my question is, since this is the same parcel, you have to, does that include impervious areas for the house as well? Since it's the same parcel, or is that just this impact?
Just this impact on this area.
So I believe since it's the same parcel, you might have to look at the impervious area of the whole parcel, including the house and the existing driveways for the DEP permitting.
We will certainly look into that.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Novel?
I do not.
I think it's a
And
good
just
plan.
touching on the grass again, that's going to be remaining. We use a native mixture of grass in the area, so it'll be as it was before we started.
Okay.
What are you saying, Steve?
I think it's a good plan. I think we ought to move it to a public hearing.
Is that a motion?
I was going to say, is that an official motion?
Well, it's just looking at everyone's face to see.
Can be.
Yeah, I can make that a motion to,
I'll second that.
To send it for public hearing?
Yes.
We have a motion by Steve and a second by Dave. Any discussion? Do a roll call vote. Steve?
yes.
Frank?
Yes.
JR?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Motion passes for a public hearing. Thank you very much. We'll schedule a public hearing for,
So the next regular meeting is March 14th.
okay. So March 14th would put it into, does it need to go to the city council afterwards?
I'll have to check on that.
Okay.
I don't think so,
No.
but I don't
Okay.
know.
I just don't want to bump up against
Yeah.
construction schedules.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I think you're all set.
Okay.
March, we have, I think we might even have 3 meetings in March anyway, but at least 2.
For city council, you mean?
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll have a public hearing on March 14th.
All right, great, thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
And that public hearing can be over Zoom as well, or do we need to be there in person?
You can be on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you will notify the abutters of that?
Yep,
Or is that
yep.
something you do?
Yep, no, we have your list and we can do that in-house, no problem.
Okay, okay, fantastic. We just wanted to confirm that.
Yep. No problem.
All right, well, thank you everyone for your time. You have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right.
How does the city look at that from a taxable standpoint?
Okay, so, before it's hooked up, like when it's just the equipment that is sitting there and it's not sending power to the grid, that, we send the solar company a business equipment tax exemption form, which as long as they fill that out and send it back, in the required time, and I guess I say that, I try to say it with a straight face, because what happens is we have to chase people a lot, because people just don't get the paperwork done on time. So anyway, as long as we have it before we commit, although we like to have it by the state statutory deadline of May the 1st, but that doesn't usually happen, then that equipment is exempt from tax for the owner. So for Novel Energy, it's exempt from tax. The city then turns that in as part of our municipal valuation return, which we send to the state, which is actually our notice of any claims that we have towards exempt property. That's due by November 1. So based on the amount of exempt property that Caribou has relative to its total valuation and its total personal property valuation, typically Caribou gets about 53% reimbursement. So, so say that the tax would have been, we'll just do easy math. Say that the tax should have been $1,000, we would get $530, okay? Now, because for exemptions, the statutory exemption rate for a property that the state exempts through legislation is 50%. However, recognizing that some municipalities are very heavily dependent upon personal property like manufacturing, the state has a complex formula, and that's how we get the extra 3%. So, once it is hooked up and on the grid, then that company submits to us a renewable energy exemption form. No, okay. A business equipment tax exemption form has to be filed every year. That's why we have to spend so much time chasing people. Because you, as a business owner, have to, every single year, send us a list of all of your equipment, if you've disposed of anything, if you've added anything, what the age is, all of that. With the renewable energy exemption, they file it one time. This is the power of lobbying. So the solar companies have a strong enough lobby that they have gone to the state of Maine, they apply one time. And it is actually on the assessor to go and check to make sure that that array is still operating, okay? So by filing for the renewal, and they have to meet the requirements, of course, but they build their arrays to meet the requirements because they don't want to pay tax. So by having the renewable energy exemption, they pay no tax. As part of our MVR that we submit, there is a line on there for renewable energy exemption. So we put on there what's been exempted. Now you would think, based on what I just told you about the legislature saying that 50% of the lost revenue is what by statute they have to replace to the municipalities. However, using another complex formula, they go back and figure out what your mill rate would have been. So say like last year our mill rate was 19.5. So instead of just taking, okay, the value of all equipment, solar, renewable energy equipment in the city was X amount of dollars times our mill rate of 19.5 times 50%. No. We're going to take the value of the renewable energy equipment, add it in as taxable property, figure out what your mill rate would have been. So say if you added it in, it would be 19.3. Then we're going to take the value times 19.3 times 50. Yeah. So anyway, so we get less than 50% on that. We get more than 50% on business equipment tax exemption.
So a follow-up question. Assuming they break ground, let's say they're lucky and they can get in there this April, and it takes them 6 months. So come fall time, they can go online. Is that when their new tax rate comes to be?
Okay, so in the state of Maine, tax situs day is April 1. So it only matters what's going on April 1. So April 1 of this year, there'll be nothing there. So say April 1 of next year, I mean, in my experience, April 1 of next year, it would be at best a Betty exemption. But how some of these solar farms work is they sell subscriptions and they're not going to build it until those subscriptions are all sold. So they may not even start in the next year.
Okay.
But for example, so this year, Caribou had an extremely high amount of business equipment tax exemption. It was because of solar farms. The one on the Ogren Road was on the Betty, we call it Betty, program. The one on Dow Siding also on Betty. Now, I see them working on the one on Dow Siding, and I don't go on the Prescott Road that much.
There's people there parked every day.
Yes,
There's like
but-
7 cars there every day.
Yes, and you see the guys in their vests and their hard hats, and I drove by there Sunday. I don't remember, I remember why now. And they were out there working even on Sunday. And it was like, wow, they're really trying, I think they're trying to get that online. I mean, for them, it doesn't, from a tax standpoint, it doesn't matter to them, because they're paying zero either way. They're either declaring it on the business equipment tax exemption, or they're declaring it on renewable energy. So for them, it doesn't really matter. But of course, they're going to be getting more income if they can get it generating. Yeah. Does that answer all your questions? Thanks. And thank you for listening to my TED Talk about assessing solar projects.
Seems like you've done quite a bit of it.
Yeah, so fun fact about that, when they started all of this and trying to determine, what was going to be, because for a while they were taxable. So I think 2 years, we actually had to, you have to value them anyway for exemption purposes, but when we had to tax them, there was no real methodology in place in Maine for valuing solar projects. And since I was going to have one online, I'm contacting Maine Revenue, I'm contacting other municipalities. What is your methodology for valuing the solar farm? And I went to a training in Bangor, and they were going to talk about solar, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to find out. Nope, it was just really about solar. It wasn't about valuation, even though this is at a tax assessing class. So I talked to one of the people from Maine Revenue, and I said, so what are we going to do about, valuing it's online, for April 1? Because it actually had gone online maybe October. Well, we're kind of waiting to see what you're going to do. I'm like, great. So then I looked at, like Canada has a lot of solar, Vermont has solar. So I started looking at their valuation models there, and I found a tool online. It's called pvvalue.com. So I checked that out. You put in the latitude, longitude of your the array, the size, your inverter capacity, the age of things, the life expectancy of the panels, the inverters, and it comes up with a value of what that is. Kind of like a discounted cash flow type thing. So the owner of the project was actually very good about being forthcoming about what it was making, and it was actually very close. So I wrote up all my instructions and sent it out on our listserv that we have for assessors, and said, this is what I'm using for methodology. Use it or not, this is what I'm doing. Maine Revenue had approved it, because I sent it to them and said, okay, this is what I've come up with. Like, what are your thoughts? Yep, that'll work. So then when they came out with this renewable exemption, or renewable energy exemption, of course, then the state because the state's now going to have to pay money. Like, when it's just a taxpayer paying money, methodology not as important to them. But when the state is writing a check to municipalities, suddenly they're a little bit more interested in what methodology you're using. So at the time, the director of property tax starts doing his presentation on how, like at Maine Revenue, they're going to be doing their methodology, and it is pvvalue.com. So it's what we're using, and I think there's probably a lot of people that are using that methodology because it's very easy to replicate, so it doesn't matter whether your project, what part of town it is, because you're actually using the azimuth and you're putting in the latitude, longitude. Everything is you can, it's reproducible, and it doesn't have a bias, based on, like it doesn't have a neighborhood value or, anything like that. It's
Yep.
just what is there for equipment. So people in Caribou can rest assured that we are, doing things that even Maine Revenue has adopted to do their projects. And anyway, so that's how that came to be. And Caribou has several projects. And so this year, if the one on the Oban Road and the one on Dow Siding go online, then they'll come out of Betty and into renewable energy.
So that would be 3 in Caribou.
Well, so we have.
Oh, no, 4.
Yeah, so we have, the first one was Neil Griffiths, and then we had, the Utilities District has one. We have the
yeah.
one that's out on the Washburn
Yep.
Road, the Caribou Solar.
Solar.
And then at the Hilltop Estates
Yep.
there, they have one there. So those are all online.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then we have these other two. Yep.
You're going to be an expert.
Yeah.
in,
Thanks for letting me talk about my favorite subjects. Tax assessing, so.
All right, back up to item B. We have a site design review package for the Micmac Nation Fish Hatchery expansion. This is the project that I'm actually PMing for Harriman. You'll see all the calculations for stormwater. We have the sewer output, the existing. We have the soils report from SW Cole included in here. On page, let me just get you to that page. I saw it earlier.
So when you say page, you're in this book.
I'm in the actual, yeah, the stapled one that you printed. The abutters list, soils is 5. Where's the?
So the soil map, like if you can find the page that has, it's bright yellow, it starts right after that.
The soils, yeah, it was more the, basically going down, oh, there it is. Page, starting on page 1, it goes through basically the entire site design package in it. Every A, B, C, and D, there's an explanation there for you guys to take a look at.
Yeah, I couldn't believe 123 pages. But I see there are some of them are this page intentionally left blank.
Yes,
so that
yes.
was-
So you can just flip, so it's
Yeah,
the
you
next
can
page.
flip.
Yeah. And then if you want to go to your, the 11 by 17s that Penny printed out, I can walk you through the package there. So as you drive by the farm right now, you'll see their new greenhouse is located on the left side of the property. And then they have an existing hoop house that's going to be relocated because that's where the new building is going. That's shown on C10. That's kind of the existing as is right now. We're going to cut a new electrical utility trench to get power to the new building. And then on C20-1, that's kind of the new layout you'll see with the new building. The new building is about just shy of 11,000 square feet. They are quadrupling their existing fish capacity. So right now, I think their existing building, they have 2 tanks in there right now that are about 10 by 40. And the new building will house 4 tanks that are 15 by 60 by 4 feet deep. So there's a lot of water there. We sent in a DEP permit as well. You'll see on C30-1, there's a wooden buffer, and that's to take all of the stormwater runoff. So So they're ditching, we're ditching all the way back to that buffered zone. Let's see,
The water's from,
just the runoff from the roof and the impervious areas.
nothing to do with the tanks.
Nothing to do with the tanks, it's the building over, so it's the roof over the, actually, it's every impervious surface that has been added since 2006, I believe, goes into that calculation.
So is there a drainage way there now?
They have a little bit of ditching. Right now, on C10, you kind of see they have a road that goes down between they have a field on one side and a field on the other, and they have kind of a path down. There's a little bit of ditching, but we're adding a ditch to the right side of that. So it'd be to the north side of that road. So on C30, you can see how we're adding the ditching to the side of the existing road to get the water down there.
Yes.
Yep. On C40, that's the utility plan. C50 has some details. There are some structural plans indicated here. It's not the full package, but that gives you the building footprint, kind of the tanks on S10-1. You can see the tank layout. And then A20-1 includes some building elevations for what it's going to look like. Has anybody been in their existing fish?
Years ago.
Yeah,
Years ago.
yeah.
It's nice to see them expand.
Yeah, they're
And
really
then
excited
expanding on
about
the
project.
Caribou side of their property.
Yeah, they're really excited about it. It's going to be a nice little project. And I took the Cub Scouts there for a tour this last fall, and they really enjoy watching the fish, and some of them even tried hot peppers out of the greenhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a fun little farm tour.
Good.
Yeah.
Are they classified as a nonprofit?
They're exempt because so the land is owned by the United States of America in trust for the Aristic Band of Micmacs. That's how it's deeded throughout the city. And that was all done in 2012.
And do they make a contribution in lieu of taxes?
Like a pilot?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's different properties that are owned by the, you're giving me so much time to talk about assessing today, Dave, and I didn't even pay you or anything.
This wasn't on the bingo card.
I can take it back and
Yeah.
pull my question.
Yeah, no. So they actually own different properties that are titled differently. So this, like I said, is United States in trust. They also have properties that are owned by their housing authority.
Right.
The properties owned by their housing authority pay a pilot of payment in lieu of taxes. Then they have a couple of properties that they pay full taxes on because they're just titled to the Aristic Band of Micmacs. Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll try and come up with questions.
Yeah, keep the questions coming that are assessing questions. That's good. Keep me sharp.
There's not too much in the way of site lighting. Actually, just getting back, I'm trying to think of the stuff that the planning board would be interested in. So site lighting, I think, is just going to be wall-mounted, building-mounted lighting. Soils are good. No wetlands. Butters list is there. I can't think of anything else to tell you guys about. Oh, I was going to say that their farm, they send produce all over the state to food banks.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Like the big 4x4x4 pallets. They ship a lot out, so, as well.
So the fish, are they raising them to be processed for eating, or are they fish to stock ponds?
Most of it is for consumption.
You can actually stop in and buy a couple trout.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you could, but I thought they also sold some to stock ponds.
I think they do, yep. I think the major purpose of the current facility is for consumption.
And that's where they're seeing the demand to want to increase
Yep.
to such a scale?
Yep.
Good.
And maybe to sell more too, yep. Stock as well, yep. They buy their fish once, their fish, I should say that, the eggs, they buy them once a year. In December is when they do their purchasing for their entire next year cycle.
So at some point, the water in those huge tanks must have to be exchanged with fresh water?
So if you look on page,
They have phenomenal filters.
if you look on page.
I just wonder about it.
It's its own, these tanks right here.
Yep.
So there's,
What page are you on, Amanda?
S10-1 kind of has the tank layout, I'm gonna call it. So in here, there are oxygenators, there are oxygenator pumps out here, there's, they have UV filters, they have drums that turn the water over, that oxygenate the water, and then they have a ventilation that takes moisture out, and then they circulate it back, and then there's fresh water coming in all of the time.
To
It's
to
continuous.
replace water that's
It's
evaporated?
Evaporated, yeah, and then it's turning over water all the time. So it's fresh water.
So
Cold water,
there's
straight out of
never a
your
time
well.
when there's a major exchange, so they don't
It's,
open a valve and the whole
no, it's
works
just,
go down the drain? or-
no, it's more of a continual exchange all the time.
Frank, are you concerned that at some point there would just be
I just want,
A lot of
the
water.
design included a capacity to accept thousands of gallons of water or whatever.
Actually, there's no, you're talking about subsurface?
No, tank.
I'm talking about the tank, the actual tank water that you see.
Coming in.
Does that ever,
Oh, it's all piped below the slab and then up and in right now. You mean if like there was a complete failure of a pipe or something?
no, I'm saying, let's say the water gets so, I'll say,
Oh,
so poor in its quality that the quickest and the best thing to do is get rid of it and start with fresh.
I don't think they've ever done that.
There's never been a need to do that.
No,
so-
because they're
and so-
continually
And so there's no
circulating
need
fresh
in the
water.
design of this
Right.
structure to have a capacity to accept a large exchange of water. That's my question, I guess.
No.
Okay.
No, it's a continual,
I don't believe they could introduce those fish into fresh water anyway. That's such a finite project. The chemistry of that water is tested, I think it's hourly, if I'm not mistaken.
they do it all the time. They make sure that whatever, they even take, the water's coming out of the well, and they're running it through an oxygenator to put enough oxygen in the water. So they're running, not testing, but it's under constant,
Scrutiny.
yes, because the fish, they won't grow correctly if the water is of poor quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But basically, they said, the volume, basically, it's the analogy of a goldfish in a tank. The goldfish will get as big as the tank that it's in. So if you have, and it's how much you feed them. So the larger the tank is, the faster that you can grow the fish as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do they need or do they benefit from light?
I don't think so. I think there's, there are studies out there, but the facility that they're in right now is, dark, I would say. There's no natural light all day
There's
long.
no skylights,
There's no skylights or anything like that. The new facility is going to have, some translucent panels that will diffuse light in, but I don't think there's a requirement for a specific level of lighting.
Are they heated?
It's funny you should say that. The heating requirements are very low because they want the water to be 58 degrees all the time. So the water comes out of the well or around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. There's so much mass in the water that comes out of the well, it comes out at 55? There's really very low heating requirements for the building because the mass of water has so much, the building is,
BTUs or?
you're right, it's always at a constant 58 to 64 degrees all year round.
Wow.
Yeah,
Geothermal.
pretty much, because just so much water coming out of the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's an excellent project.
Thank you.
I can
Nice
probably
job.
just copy and paste that from the last.
Spoken like a fisher. So what do we need? Need a motion?
Well, I think the code officer can just sign off on this anyway, because it's
Okay.
just an expansion of an agricultural use in an R3 zone. But it's good for the planning board to see all of the good things that are happening within the city. Is that your understanding? Did I say that right, Steve?
I think if anything, and because it came up today, it's got to get its permits through the State Fire Marshal's office
Oh, about the,
for the construction of area for,
It does not require a state fire marshal.
no?
No, because
Okay.
it's an agricultural use, it's not,
Oh.
it did go through DEP though. We had to get a DEP site permit because of the impervious area. And then City of Caribou required a permit as well. And that is it for permitting.
so you've received your permit from DEP?
It is in their queue. We sent that one in December, and we received a letter back January 9th that it was on there. I can look up exactly what it says, but we're expecting it within,
Yeah.
Since we've been briefed on the entirety of the project, you want the planning board to
Give
do
a,
the honors and approve it?
Sure, I want to.
I'll motion we approve.
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Take a roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
JR?
yes.
Dave?
Yes.
I'll abstain. Thank you.
Do we have a clean copy we can have the planning board sign?
There's
Maybe.
2 copies. I have a clean copy here.
Okay.
And then those there as well.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, just before we leave, we'll have to,
Yeah.
we'll make sure somebody signs something.
I cannot
Everyone
sign
signs.
that.
Yeah. Right, but we can have our 4 that voted
Yep.
sign it.
Perfect. All right. I was gonna, do you need to know about the DEP? When they were,
I'm sure it'll be fine, just a site of location, application, right? It's just impervious surface, I'm sure it'll be fine.
processing acceptance letter as of January 9th, expected permit by February 23rd, roughly. Right. Item D, 799 Main Street Caribou reopening, CEO approval. 32 to 34, 32 to 42. This is on South Main Street?
North.
North.
North Main Street, yes, sorry, thank you.
My neighborhood.
Is it?
It is.
So, is this building, it's a flooring store,
Used to be the carpet barn.
yeah? What zone is that in?
I believe I have that on there.
C2?
It's,
Okay,
C2.
that was my only question that I had about that.
So what he's proposing is to open a flooring store and adding sales and purchases of new and used items, buy and sell, pawnbroker operations, which he has applications and his fees ready for the city clerk who issues those permits. He has that ready too. But I wanted to bring it to the planning board so you could see what was going on here in town. See if he had any issues or if anything looked,
Has there been anything going on in that building?
I don't think there's been anything going on for a while.
Long time.
Yeah. a few
Couple, 2, 3 years.
I think it's more than that, at least.
10.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
don't ever remember seeing anything going on, and I've been in
You're
Canada
right,
for
he's
7
using
years.
it for storage.
We
Yeah.
used to
He's
buy
been storing stuff there.
Yeah.
flooring from him when I was at CS, when we were on top of the hill.
Oh, wow,
That's 10
okay.
years.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right.
Hmm.
I stand corrected.
Doesn't happen often. No, that was my only concern, Penny, is, the fact that it's not had, I don't know what the condition, the interior was at the time, 10 years ago but.
Well, I'm glad the vacant building or the underutilized
Yes.
resource is
Yep.
being utilized again, so it's structure of some robustness and kind of historic style. So I'd like to see it.
You like that red barn style, huh?
I kind of have an affinity for it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't have any other comments. If anybody else does.
Would this be, I guess, a consideration, the things that a person would go through if they were opening a new business today, like the restroom requirements, lighted exit signs,
It's not a change of use,
some of those things?
right?
But the use has been abandoned for more than a year.
So does that warrant, that, I was gonna ask that, I thought that was only if it was in, not a commercial zone.
Oh, so more of like a previously existing non-conforming use.
That's why I
abandoned For more
asked.
than a year. But I mean, this is a conforming use. But typically, we'll go and just take a walk around, make sure, look for trip hazards. Like Steve's saying, make sure that you've got some lighted exit signs, make
And-
sure that people aren't going to get hurt
And it
getting
is a
in,
bit of
getting
an
out.
expansion of use, the
The pawnbroker, new.
Adding on a couple
That
of
part,
things, yeah.
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 Would that still, now, well, that's a good question, Steve. Does that still fall under,
Well, it's still under retail.
and that's CEO? Okay, perfect. That was, okay.
So as far as I know, but I went over it 2 or 3 times looking at the chart just to see if there was, anything in there that would cause it to have to go to a public hearing, but I just wasn't finding anything.
All right.
He's not having outside stuff, stuff outside or, yeah.
So why do I associate a St. Bernard with that building?
Fred used to have a
Commercials.
St. Bernard that pulled him around
Okay.
on his rollerblades
Yeah,
in his
commercial.
commercials.
Famous.
Because he was a huge ice hockey fan.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Did you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the St. Bernard have a name?
Oh, God, now you're really.
I'm texting you, JR.
No, yeah, it did. No, I won't remember that.
it'll come to you.
Yeah, the middle of the night.
Yes,
sometimes,
exactly.
right.
You'll wake up out of a dead sleep.
But good memory there, Steve. That's and that's the power of advertising.
Right?
Yeah, that's what he equates it with.
Well, do you remember his slogan?
Oh, Lord, you had a few.
Getting on his knees?
Yes, yeah. Oh, boy.
Okay, bring that up around 2 AM.
Yeah, no. Hopefully I'll be sleeping. Moving on.
Oh. All right. Item E, LD 2003 update, language from NMDC, page 43.
So this is kind of, I guess, a first read on this. 'Cause I just got it, and, which is really, Jay thought he sent it to me, but unfortunately, there's so many people named Penny, it actually went to the wrong one. It went to Penny Johnson in Presque Isle, who also works in code enforcement. So, yeah. So, so I haven't had it that long to digest, but if you wanted to, we could have Jay come to like the next meeting or something after everyone's had a chance to really read through it and think of some questions, make some notes, that kind of thing.
I think that would be great.
Okay.
The only, I recently ran into a different ordinance, part of a town in southern Maine, that there's some concern about not having, putting language into the ordinance about having one of the principal structures or the accessory dwelling unit be occupied by the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so as to not preclude or invite developers to come in and buy up a bunch of single-family homes.
Gotcha.
Put accessory dwelling units on all of them and just make them all
Double it.
into rental units.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's,
Yeah, that was one of the things that they brought up at the listening session that they had at the library.
yeah. So I haven't taken a look through this, but that might be some language that the city might want to.
Because there was discussion at that, at the listening session about, can the owner live in the accessory structure and rent out the principal structure? And everyone seemed to think that was fine. I mean, a lot of people, like, if they're downsizing, maybe they want to live in, the accessory structure. So.
Maybe they don't want to heat
Right, exactly.
2,500 square feet anymore,
Right.
and they only really need
Right.
7.
Well, let's hope it's more than 7, but I do remember there was a place out in Woodland, and we had to do code in Woodland, which was one of the reasons why I petitioned us not to do it. It was about 7 square feet. And we're
No,
like,
700. I meant 700.
No, this was like a coffin, but it was standing
Yeah.
straight up, and I said, there's not even room for the guy to lay down in here, and I can't do this anymore. Because it's just not safe, like,
Right.
so we're trying to enforce
Yeah.
the Maine Uniform Building and Energy Code in Caribou, and then we go to Woodland, and there's that structure, and it's too much.
It was a plywood box.
Yes, so you remember that, and I had a stovepipe out of it. Oh, I am not kidding. I probably have a picture of it here somewhere.
Penny needs to put together a symposium of
Steve had one.
CEO,
Yeah.
CEO, tales from the CEO office.
Steve had a whole PowerPoint, and at some points I couldn't even look at it because it needed a warning label on it. So
This may cause scarring.
yes, you cannot unsee some of the stuff. And yeah.
And I was not allowed to speak of it at home.
Yeah.
I never had the question, what'd you do today?
All right, so if we could all have notes or comments or what for Jay the next time he comes in?
And even if, you know, if you want to send some of them, and I can compile them all together and get them to Jay, so he can, you know, maybe a couple weeks before the meeting.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so there is minimum sizes, 190 square feet. Unless the Technical Building Code and Standards Board adopts a different minimum standard. That's, an accessory dwelling unit can be no greater than a certain amount of square footage or a percentage of the principal structure, which makes sense, because we don't want them building a bigger.
Right, right.
Yeah, okay. 190 square feet.
That's small.
It is small, and there's something in the main uniform, there is something in the code that says you do not need a building permit if it's under 200 square feet.
For residential, and I think it's 100 for commercial. If it's something, if your principal structure is built under the IRC, it's like 200. If it's built under the IBC, it's like 100.
So by this, they don't need to pull a building permit
Well,
for
no,
that.
because it's not, because probably Steve can remember better than I do, but when they're in that section that describes this accessory structure.
Yeah.
It's like not something you're gonna live in. Like, there's different things, right, Steve? Isn't there like bullet points? That's what I'm seeing in my head.
Dwelling unit, the
Yes.
definition dwelling unit
Yeah.
as compared to accessory structure.
Yeah, there's some other language there.
So
Is
there's
what
no-
I'm thinking. It's not-
Okay.
But, I mean, we had there was an appendix to MUBEC about, like, tiny homes. I'm not sure they call them tiny homes. It was like Appendix X or Y or something. And that had a bunch of definitions. So I don't know, like, is that still a thing? I haven't been to a code training in quite a long time, so.
Well, we talked about this too. Didn't we talk about putting in our ordinance that we were worried about tiny homes, manufactured or on a trailer, had to meet the main building code. So they couldn't just buy it from Texas and not have it be rated for snow loading in Maine.
Yeah, buildings will, even our local, like sheds and small camps that
Yeah.
are manufactured in Easton by the Amish,
Yep.
they're not necessarily designed.
Nope.
They make their own trusses, I believe.
Yes.
And unless the trusses are designed by the TPI, the Truss Performance Institute, or a PE, they don't meet the code.
The TPI is the plates that they buy,
Yeah.
the little sandwich plates with all the teeth in them.
But I mean, honestly, even structures built under the manufactured housing code, some of them, like if you really start doing some digging into the roof systems.
40.
Right. So are they really built for
No, they're not.
climate zone 7?
Right.
Yeah.
Or Kennebunk on the coast or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's no snow.
That's statewide though.
It is, yes.
Kittery to Fort Kent.
Yes.
Yes. But I'm just saying, like,
What's statewide, 40?
Yeah, for manufactured housing.
for
Right,
manufactured housing.
right. Yeah.
But we don't enforce that. I mean, the authority having jurisdiction is only looking at anything that's built on site.
Right, that's the problem.
Right.
Okay. Mental.
So we're all on the
gymnastics
same
there.
page about that, yes.
know.
Yeah.
All right. Notes for Jay. All right, item F. We have,
I can remember saying to Steve, are we really signing off on this? It was like a mobile home that had come from downstate somewhere. It was like, you don't have a choice.
Right.
Housing board.
right.
Okay. Well, Good to know.
And if you want to design for any more, it'll cost you.
Mm.
Planning board appointment for open seat, item F, 50 and 52. 50 and 52, 50 to 52.
Yeah, so you have a memo there. Member Justin Staples said he would no longer be able to serve. So back in January, when we had 2 of our veteran members seek reappointment, that's who the council reappointed. But we did have 2 other people who had applied. So their information is in the packet. Our city clerk reached out to both of them, and both of them would be interested, so. Mr. Amaro, I believe he was appointed to the housing board.
So he listed that on there, but maybe before my time.
No, I mean, he was, no, he applied to be on there.
Oh,
But I
oh.
think he was appointed. I can check online and see, but I'm pretty sure he was, because there was an opening on that board.
He's on the you say you think he's on the Caribou Housing Board?
We're gonna check here real quick. I mean, not that I do anything real quick, but we will check in a slow fashion here. Okay, so Housing Board of Commissioners. Yep, he is on there.
Well,
I
we
thought he had
haven't had a
been,
meeting.
I thought he had been appointed there, so.
Another note for me.
So I didn't know if you had a recommendation. Our other applicant wasn't appointed to anything. If you wanted to, appoint someone who,
How has this been handled in the past? Forgive me, it's my first go-around here. Does somebody nominate one and we vote? How do we normally handle this?
I don't know that it's ever been handled this way before, to be honest with you. It's just, I thought,
I don't think it has either.
yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was always the city council that
Yeah,
appointed.
and they're the ones that make the appointment, but I just.
Right, if we provide a recommendation.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
all you're looking for is a recommendation.
Right, I mean, if you have one, if you don't have one, that's fine too. I just thought if someone knew the applicants, and they could say, oh yeah, this person would be perfect for the planning board, I just,
Well, I know Dan. Obviously didn't know he was on the housing authority, but,
I don't think you guys have met yet
No, we haven't.
either, so.
so, yeah, I've had a number of great experiences. Does anyone know Maura?
I don't.
I know her, not personally. Her son is in Cub Scouts, so that's
Okay.
the
Oh,
reason
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Is there any limit to, if he's already on a board, is there a limit to how many? Okay, that was my other
If
question.
only it were that
Yeah, I was
simple.
gonna say,
Peggy.
just
If
wondering.
only.
Just wondering. Dave, how many are you on? 3 at least. At least 3, I don't know.
That's where I draw the line.
Yes, 3 is the limit.
Don't lie to us.
Truthfully.
Okay.
Well, I guess Business Investment Group isn't technically a city board. I was just thinking when I was making my icebreaker thing. You and Christina had to have 3 columns out for that.
I saw that too.
And then I left one of the counselors off. That was so embarrassing. But it happens.
Based on my experience, and it's unfortunate that I don't have anything for experience with Maura, I would nominate Dan.
It doesn't have to be a motion, correct?
No, just looking for feedback, yeah.
Consensus?
Consensus is fine,
I have to agree.
okay. Anyone else with thoughts?
I think they both sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, both read well.
Mhm.
I would be open to a little more diversity.
Okay.
Tell us more.
I just think a well-rounded, wide-reaching array is what's best for the city. That's my personal opinion.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well said.
So the board is open to.
Yeah.
Either or.
Either
Yes.
or, right.
Get a quarter?
No, it seems like they both have business backgrounds, and so, it's hard to,
We're looking for common sense.
yeah. They didn't, put their age on there either, so you can't, That would be my feedback.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks so much.
Old business, changes to the land use table. Were you able to find anything on?
So, all that I found was so land use information. So I found some information on Mr. Marker's computer, which is not a lot here. Bob, our computer guy, he came and got the whole tower of Ken's computer and is going to put it on an external hard
Perfect.
drive for me when he gets time.
Okay.
So that I can look on that too.
I think
He
the
came
latest.
and he hauled it out this week, so.
Okay. I think the latest and greatest proposed zoning map is the one that I sent back to you.
Okay. So
In a
I have-
PDF, but that's all
Yeah.
all I have. So
Yeah.
I don't know what other, how else that lives, whether it's,
Yeah, and there, it could be on Ken's computer.
Yeah.
So I will have that, I'm
Okay.
sure, pretty soon. And so I have a folder here, I have from Amanda, and I have like from Mr. Marker. And then I'll have one that says from Ken.
perfect.
So, yeah.
Because I think we need to do the, go back through the land use table with the riverfront recommendations. And I believe we probably have those in an Excel file, both of those. I just have to dig back through my old email if we
Okay.
cannot find them.
Yep. The Riverfront Committee, I believe, meets on Tuesday, so,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things they were gonna talk about, so.
Yeah, it's on our agenda. Yeah.
Great.
I had a brief conversation with Karen
Oh,
about it.
actually, maybe Riverfront is the 27th. I think the 13th might be airport. I don't know. I have a meeting Tuesday. I'm just not sure which one.
Karen
It's one of
said-
the Tuesday groups it is.
Karen had said that the Riverfront Committee had asked about
Okay.
what we had done, what we were doing with it, and we just haven't circled back.
Okay.
So I think we probably need to set up a special meeting to go through.
Okay.
And then I also requested that Mr. Corvo take the proposed zoning map to the big group for information, to make sure it aligns with
Development goals?
development goals. Yeah. And,
Did Mr. Corvo confirm he was going to do that for you?
Mr. Corvo did confirm, and he promised.
Not only confirmed, but also promised.
No, Mr. Corvo was very willing to do that.
So you remember that?
I do remember
Clearly.
that. I do remember that conversation in the post office on Saturday morning.
That's where you see everybody.
I know.
Is either at the post office or Mockler Funeral Home. That seems to be where you see everybody.
And the only other, I was gonna say something else. Oh, should we set up a meeting for the planning board, a special meeting to go through the land use table with the riverfronts recommendations one last time?
You want to, you can.
Yeah,
You could meet, I think I had it in here, you could meet the 29th. Of course, the 22nd, you already have the housing symposium. You could do it the 29th. Your next meeting is March 14th. We've got some calendars here, but
Is it the 29th?
you could. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, that means you're meeting 2 weeks in a row because the 22nd is the housing symposium.
I think we could pull that off
The
between
next
two.
Thursday, so the next Thursday would be what, like the 7th or something? 'Cause I
the next
think,
Thursday would be the 7th.
yeah, the next one. And then that would make you meeting on the 7th and the 14th.
Yeah,
Either way.
Yeah, right.
You get two back-to-back.
either way, I have a commitment on the 29th
Okay.
that night.
So we'd be March,
It'd be March 7th,
Okay.
if that works.
Yeah, I'll check with them and
Check with
Yeah.
the riverfront.
Riverfront.
Oh, no, I meant just a planning board.
just a planning board. Oh,
So we
okay.
could go, because we haven't circled back through.
Okay.
There's some uses that I think we need to circle back on, conversations that we were adding to the table that have not previously been in the
Okay.
table. And I believe an accessory dwelling unit was going to be added, so I just want to make sure that we've circled
Oh,
back
okay, yeah. No, that's
on a
good
few
thinking,
different
yeah.
things.
Darn engineers are always circling back.
I know. We get stuff done.
And I'm sure that I'll have it by then, because like I said, I know that Bob took out that tower this week, and so, you know, he's just working it in amongst everything else to get that out for me, so I can
Okay.
look through it and see what I can find.
Perfect. Does anybody have any conflicts on the 7th?
I do not.
Okay. It
I
is
was
so
gonna
warm.
comment, like,
It
is it not
I don't know.
very, very warm in here?
No, it is
or-
very, very warm.
Extremely warm.
Yeah.
Staff report.
So I have in here the grant project updates. Most notably, the Riverfront Committee, who's the steering committee for the Brownfields project. They did have a public hearing, public meeting at their last meeting, which was January 30th. So there's now a 30-day comment period on the analysis of what brownfields cleanup alternatives, and that's all available on our website. We do have a notice to proceed. We're working with County Environmental on, they're doing all the heavy lifting on that. We've done our reporting that we needed to do for last quarter. What we're hearing, and this is on the diesel plant, on the steam plant, what we're hearing is that $2 million has been approved outside of the brownfields.
Additionally?
Yes.
Wonderful.
And, but we're just hearing that, like, I haven't seen any kind of paperwork on this. It's just, that's what I'm hearing.
Not in writing.
What, the biggest thing that we're asking
Right.
about is, can we do both of them at the same time? Because there's a lot of these federal EPA rules about having two projects going on at the same time, at the same place. The other issue with these, both projects, is that you have to keep the, what am I trying to say here? The boat landing open. And so, as you know, it is very tight in there between like the buildings and the driveway and the access road and the railroad tracks. So when you're talking about such a tight area for our projects, anyway, that's been something that's keeps coming up in every talk, is how are we going to keep that open, because it has to stay open.
Some of that will be limited though, right? Like, it's not like they're going to be operating 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week on that.
No, I mean, within
And
the urban
accessibility.
compact zone, they really could only work from 7 to 10 anyway. you
Right,
know,
but,
for noise,
Right.
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, but we don't, this is something they need to work out.
Right.
And any contractor that's hired to do that, that's going to be part of their process, is
Right.
proving to us that they can keep that access open.
Yeah, okay.
So good times on that. Northern Border Regional Commission, we actually received a partial notice to proceed for our NEPA review, which is Environmental Protection Act stuff. We actually got that on Friday. And so that makes us feel like we are making progress. The Village Partnership Initiative, March 1 is when we're going to, this is actually not even on this, it's so new. March 1 is when we're going to have kind of our kickoff meeting for that. Our congressionally directed spending requests, we still do not have any of this money. But we did get a new, they've added more staff. HUD has added more staff, and so we have a new helper. And she requested something, actually, JR has signed it, and I think you've signed like 3 of them for us.
I have.
And every time I sent in the same one, I think you signed this one in December. I resent it again. And anyway, so
It's all right.
we appreciate that you're always so willing to help us with this banking stuff.
Yeah.
So that's our updates on grants. Blighted properties, of course, that's something that is a huge priority for the council. They had a dangerous buildings hearing at their last meeting. They'll be signing a findings and order at this meeting. This is on the property on Sweden Street, although we are working with the owners to sign a consent agreement so that we can have the house torn down soon, like before March 15th, so.
Well, that's promising.
Yeah, I mean, promising
Considering.
in an abstract way, it's not done yet, but we're working on it. We did have an economic development icebreaker on the 29th, and the planning board was invited to that. Dave spoke on behalf of the planning board. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about from that meeting? I mean, I sent everybody the notes from that. No. The 2024 municipal budget, I have in there an increase for the salary of a code officer in hopes of finding a planner/code officer. So someone who has training and experience in planning. We have, with the planning board and the work that you're doing, but also, we have our comprehensive plan going. We have our riverfront master plan, which is funded as part of the NBRC. We have this transportation plan as part of the DOT Village Partnership Initiative. And tonight we've talked about the housing study. So all of these, it would be good if we had someone on staff that had, had that kind of knowledge that can sift through that. So that is, stay tuned with that. And coming soon to Caribou, Maine on April the 8th, like it or not, and in my case it's not, the eclipse is coming.
The sun, the moon, the boo, and you. I really
Yes.
like that.
I know, right? That's Christina. She's so clever. And yeah, so that is coming. We're going to have a star park at the Wellness Center. So it'll be open from noon until 6. Have a food truck. We're saying concessions. It's at the rec department. So this is a family-oriented, no adult beverages location. And I think the totality starts at like
10:30.
no, it's like in the afternoon.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 3:30 2 or something, I don't know. That's my address, maybe I'm just thinking it's, I don't know, it's
Really?
332 or something.
You gonna, is
It's about
the city gonna pass out complimentary glasses?
Well, we'll sell them to you,
The schools are receiving,
yeah.
we're working
Yep.
with,
Okay.
Yeah, Machias is a major sponsor, and probably the ones, we're ordering some from the Southern Rustic Development.
we are delivering to the majority of the schools.
In the state, in Rostock?
I've only seen the list for for Roostic, yeah, yeah, but it's a lot of glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we should change it to the sun, the moon, the boo, and Machias.
No, it's just, no, we're just helping, just doing our part.
Yeah, so, so that's coming, and we're not doing as much as some of the other towns, but we're just trying to have some option. Apparently, our lodging establishments are full,
Yeah.
and they have
That's
people coming,
popular.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody I talk to that has anything for rent, they already have someone that's booked up.
That's great.
so,
It has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of lodging, we have 2 hotels, motels that are going through some modifications and expansions and stuff.
Mhm.
Have you heard an update on either of them?
So Aroostook Way Solutions meets monthly, and they always did meet at the Caribou Inn, and we get breakfast to encourage participation, I guess. No, anyway, so the last 3 meetings, we've met at the Scout Hall. I don't know, our next meeting is going to be on March 1st, I'm not sure.
Have you been out there at all?
I have not. Well, I've been in there, in the entryway.
Well, sure, no
Very, very nice.
hallways
I
or...
haven't seen the rest of the
Yeah, no,
program.
it's coming along well.
Yeah.
But it's my understanding they're in the meeting hall,
Mhm.
that used to be, you could cut off with the accordion doors, the long.
Right.
They're
They're in
working
there now?
yeah,
Yeah, that's why we can't meet there.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, they're working on that, I guess, right now. But they must be going to be done by April 13th, because Atlantic Salmon for Northern Maine is
Yes.
having their annual soiree
There,
there.
instead, for the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
in
Instead
Halifax,
of,
in Prescott,
Northeastland,
or
I think.
Northeastland, yeah.
Northeastland's where they've had it.
I believe there's another, I believe the ACCA is also moving their annual banquet there
Okay, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
from Northeastland.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's good.
And as far-
Quality Inn's looking good at the other end of
It
town.
is,
Yep.
it is. It's a big project, at both.
The funny thing is, I can remember when I was the interim manager, and Christina was still working for the city, and we were just brainstorming, like, gosh, if money was no object, what was the first thing we would do? And we're like, remodel these hotels, because, that's been, both of them were in need of that. And we didn't even have to come up with money, like, and it's getting done, but that was like our first thing, like, if we could just, improve the quality of our lodging, and it's happening. So it's kind of exciting. That's one of the things that,
Thank you.
because tourism is big in Caribou, so.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have seconded by JR. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
JR?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Motion passes. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh, don't forget to sign.
Oh, yes.
Okay, yep.
That needs to sign.
And I don't know, here's the signature. Is there a signature page on this? Yes, there is.